Earth was a blue dot floating quietly in the vast darkness of the galaxy, a calm world ignored by empires who believed strength came only from size, weapons, and long histories of conquest. To most alien species, Earth was nothing more than a primitive outpost at the edge of known space, a place with small fleets, small colonies, and small ideas. And above all, the galaxy believed humanity had no real threat to offer, no real reason to be feared, no real power that mattered. The Varkan Dominion laughed the most. Their commanders joked that humans were soft creatures who fought wars with words instead of weapons. Their soldiers mocked Earth's tiny destroyers, calling them tin cans. Their diplomats predicted Earth would fall within the first hour of combat if a real war ever began. The galaxy believed this, and so no one looked deeper. No one noticed that Earth had gone silent for almost 12 years. No big announcements, no new ships, no new alliances, nothing. It looked like humanity had accepted its small place in the universe. But silence from a species like humanity was never a sign of weakness. It was preparation. It was patience. It was the deep breath before something powerful stepped forward. The story began the day the Varkan Dominion detected an unknown energy wave rising from the Sol system. A strange signature, massive, controlled, and unlike anything ever seen before. At first, they thought it was a malfunction. The second reading proved it wasn't. The third reading terrified their technicians so much they locked the sensors and called every ranking officer in the sector. Inside the Dominion flagship crew Thale, Admiral Vurok stared at the screen with disbelief. The humans cannot generate this level of power, he growled, his voice shaking in a way he hoped no one noticed. One officer replied quietly, "Sir, the signature is real." Another added, "And, it's growing." The entire bridge fell silent. For a species that mocked Earth for decades, fear was difficult to swallow. But the numbers on the screen didn't lie. Something on Earth was awakening. Something huge. Something powerful enough to bend gravity itself. The Dominion executed Protocol Black Star, complete invasion readiness. They sent 50 battleships to the Sol border. They prepared to strike Earth before whatever was awakening could threaten them. In their arrogance, they believed they still had the upper hand. Meanwhile, on Earth, deep under the Pacific Ocean, in a chamber built from alloys not found anywhere else in the galaxy, the Titan Dreadnought project reached its final stage. A human engineer named Dr. Myra Collins stood before a massive, glowing engine core, her voice steady as she whispered, "After 12 years, we finally did it." When she touched the control pad, the chamber lights changed from blue to crimson. Huge metal rings rotated, releasing a soft but deep vibration that shook the entire facility. That vibration carried across space, and alien sensors detected it like a scream. In orbit, Earth's orbital defenders watched with nervous excitement. They knew what this meant. Humanity was no longer the quiet planet. No longer the one being mocked. No longer the soft species. Under the ocean, the floor split open, revealing a rising structure as big as a mountain. Water rushed back like fleeing animals as the first Titan Dreadnought emerged from the darkness. Its hull glowed with dark silver plates that bent light. Its engines pulsed like beating hearts. Its size dwarfed every known ship in the galaxy. It was not a battleship. Not a cruiser. Not even a supercarrier. It was a category the galaxy had no name for. So humanity gave it one, Titan-class Dreadnought. The ship's name glowed across its bow, HSS Leviathan. When its engines roared to life, even Earth's moon trembled slightly. Every human watching felt their chest tighten with pride. Every alien watching felt their spine freeze with fear. Admiral Vurok received the first full scan, and for the first time in 50 years of service, he stepped back from the display. "That is impossible," he whispered. One officer said, "Sir, the human ship is as large as our entire command base." Another officer added, "And its energy output is equal to our whole fleet combined." The admiral tried to speak, but no words came. The galaxy had mocked Earth for being small, weak, and harmless. But humanity's silence had been a mask. And now the mask had been removed. The Leviathan's comms activated, sending a message to every ship near Sol. It was a simple phrase, spoken by a calm human voice. Stand down, or be erased. The Varkan Dominion had never heard a threat delivered in such a quiet, confident way. It was the voice of a species that had built something no one else dared to imagine. A species that had prepared for 12 long years. A species ready to show the galaxy what real power looked like. And this was only the first Titan. More shadows moved beneath the ocean, preparing to rise. Humanity was not alone anymore. The galaxy had mocked Earth for the last time. The Varkan Dominion fleet hovered at the edge of the Sol system, 50 battleships arranged in a perfect war formation. Their commanders had expected a weak human response, maybe a few small destroyers, maybe some desperate radio warnings. Instead, they saw the Leviathan. A ship so large that each scan returned impossible readings, as if their systems could not accept what they were seeing. On the Dominion flagship, Admiral Vurok stood frozen, his hands cold despite the heat of the bridge lights. He had always mocked humans, always dismissed them, always believed they were a species good only for trade and entertainment. Now, a terrifying thought entered his mind. What if we were wrong all along, he whispered. The Leviathan moved forward slowly, but its slow movement felt like the approach of a giant walking through a field of insects. The stars behind it disappeared under its enormous shadow. Its hull shimmered with a strange glow, a defensive field that no one in the galaxy had ever seen. Some soldiers whispered that it looked alive. Others said it looked hungry. Inside the Leviathan, Commander Elias Ward watched the Dominion fleet on the vast panoramic screen. He was a quiet man, but not out of fear, he was quiet because he understood the weight of what was coming. Humanity stayed silent for 12 years, Elias said to his crew, now the galaxy will hear us. Myra Collins stood beside him, her eyes still shining with the pride of someone who built the impossible. These ships were never meant to intimidate, she said softly, they were meant to stop extinction. Elias nodded, but intimidation is a useful bonus. A deep vibration moved through the Leviathan's hull, not from stress but from power. The Dreadnought's main reactor stabilized, glowing like a captured sun inside the ship's core chamber. With every passing second, its energy output grew stronger. And the Varkan Dominion sensors screamed warnings that their ships were too close. Too weak. Too unprepared. Admiral Vurok tried to send a warning to his fleet, but the fear in his crew spread faster than his words. Officers shook, claws tapping against consoles, eyes staring at numbers that made no sense. No single ship can output that much power, one shouted, it's impossible. Another cried out, our scanners keep failing, sir, the human dreadnought is jamming us without firing a single weapon. The Leviathan stopped just outside the Dominion battle line. Its engines dimmed, but everything around it stepped into silence, as if space itself was holding its breath. Then a human voice transmitted across all frequencies, clear and calm. This is the Titan Dreadnought Leviathan. You are violating Sol space. Turn around immediately. There was no threat, no shouting, no anger. Just calm authority. The kind of authority a predator uses when it no longer considers its opponent a danger. But the Varkan Dominion still tried to strike, because arrogance is harder to kill than a ship. Admiral Vurok snapped, fire a warning shot. One battleship obeyed, launching a single plasma bolt, bright and deadly. The bolt flew toward the Leviathan like a burning spear. Every alien on the bridge leaned forward, expecting at least some effect. But what happened next changed galactic history. The plasma bolt reached the Leviathan's hull and vanished. It didn't explode, didn't scatter, didn't break. It simply dissolved into a soft ripple of blue light. Like a raindrop hitting the surface of a calm ocean. The Varkan bridge fell into total silence. Some soldiers stepped back, one dropped his weapon, another whispered a prayer. Commander Elias Ward only sighed, they still don't understand. Myra smiled faintly, they will now. The Leviathan's hull shifted, revealing long, dark panels opening like the petals of a metallic flower. Inside those panels were ancient-looking barrels, glowing with deep red light. Not cannons. Not missiles. Not lasers. But something entirely new. Humanity didn't copy alien technology. Humanity surpassed it. Charge the Aegis Lance, Elias ordered calmly. The ship responded with a deep, resonant hum that moved through space like a heartbeat. A stream of energy gathered at the Leviathan's front, shaping itself into a long, crimson spear. The spear hum vibrated across the Dominion fleet, making their shields flicker and engines tremble. Admiral Vurok screamed, shields to maximum. His officers cried out, Sir, our ships are overheating, our reactors can't hold. Another officer shouted, the human weapon is destabilizing our systems, we cannot. But it was too late. The Leviathan fired. Not at a ship, not at a target, but into the empty space between the Dominion fleet. A harmless-looking action. Yet the blast tore space like thin paper, creating a ripping shockwave that spread in every direction. The front line of Dominion battleships spun like toys. Shields collapsed instantly, engines overloaded, and several ships lost control entirely. One battleship cracked in half without being directly hit. Another went dark as all power vanished from its systems. The Leviathan had not killed anyone. It didn't need to. The message was clear. One shot, not even aimed at them, was enough to end a fleet. Humanity had revealed its strength. And the galaxy finally felt fear. The Dominion fleet began retreating without orders, pushing engines to maximum, scrambling to escape the Sol system before the Leviathan fired again. Admiral Vurok watched in horror as his battle line collapsed. For the first time in his life, he bowed his head and whispered. The humans are monsters. But he was wrong. They were something far more dangerous. They were survivors. And survivors evolve. And survivors prepare. As the Dominion fled, they saw movement on Earth's oceans again. 2 more Titan dreadnoughts were rising. Humanity's true fleet was only beginning to awaken. The Varkan Dominion fleet fled from the Sol system like a frightened animal escaping a burning forest. Their engines glowed white from overload, their formations broken, their pride shattered. But even as they retreated, their sensors picked up something that crushed the last fragments of their confidence. More shadows were rising from Earth's oceans. Gigantic silhouettes, larger than any warship ever recorded, slowly pushing through miles of water and steel. Alien commanders watched in horror as not 1, not 2, but 3 additional Titan dreadnoughts emerged from the deep. And each one glowed with a different energy signature. It was as if humanity had built not one superweapon, but an entire class of gods. The first to rise after the Leviathan was named HSS Behemoth. Its hull carried heavy plating shaped like jagged armor, a design meant to intimidate without firing a shot. As it emerged, seawater cascaded down its sides like waterfalls crashing down a mountainside. Its engines pulsed with deep purple light, shaking the ocean surface with every breath. Next came HSS Colossus. Sleek, sharp, and shaped like an arrow aimed directly at the stars. Its energy field shimmered like liquid gold, bending light around it in ways that made cameras glitch and sensors fail. Some alien analysts later said the Colossus looked like it was cutting space itself as it rose. Human engineers simply called it our fastest monster. The 4th dreadnought rose with a roar of thunder. This one was different, its shape more ancient, its appearance almost ceremonial. Its name glowed across its obsidian hull, HSS Eternum. It was larger than the others, slower, but radiating a power that sensors struggled to identify. The Varkan believed it was a command ship, a flagship, a mobile fortress. But the truth was far stranger. It was humanity's deep strike weapon, meant to cross galaxies without ever stopping. On Earth's secret command station, known only as the Aegis Corps, global leaders watched the birth of their Titan fleet with a mixture of awe and cold determination. General Arya Holt, the supreme commander of the Titan program, stood with arms crossed as all 4 dreadnoughts aligned in formation above the Pacific Ocean. "This is not the end," she said, "this is the beginning." Dr. Myra Collins, exhausted but proud, leaned over a console, her voice soft but confident. "It took 12 years to build them," she said, "but the timing couldn't be more perfect." General Arya nodded. The Dominion finally showed its true face. "The galaxy mocks those it fears," Myra replied, "now they will fear the right species." Up in orbit, inside the Leviathan, Commander Elias Ward watched the 3 new dreadnoughts join him. The screen displayed each ship status, each reactor output, each weapon system humming to life. He felt something he had never felt before. Not pride. Not excitement. But destiny. Humanity had always fought among itself, but now, standing before the greatest threat in the galaxy's history, they were united. The fleet linked through TitanNet, a communication system so advanced it didn't transmit signals. It transmitted thoughts. For the first time in human history, 4 super dreadnoughts shared awareness, strategy, and processing power. They were separate ships, but one mind, one purpose, one warning to the galaxy. On the other side of space, the Varkan Dominion scrambled to understand what they were facing. Admiral Vurok burst into the Dominion High Council chamber, his voice breaking as he delivered the report. "Humanity has built something beyond classification," he said, "no empire, no federation, no kingdom has anything like it." The counselors laughed at him at first. Then they read the data. Then they stopped laughing. One counselor whispered, "We mocked a sleeping wolf." Another said, "No, we mocked a sleeping Titan." Panic spread through the Dominion like a plague. Every ship was recalled, every scientist ordered to analyze human technology, every border placed on red alert. But it did not matter. Nothing they had could match the Titans. The galaxy's other factions noticed as well. The Ketheri swarm paused their raids and turned their attention to Earth. The Thalorian Empire halted their expansion and sent spy fleets toward Sol. The Galactic Union called an emergency meeting for the first time in centuries. Everyone wanted answers. Everyone wanted to know how a small, quiet species had built 4 monsters while no one noticed. Meanwhile, on Earth, the Titans received their first mission. A simple set of coordinates appeared on every dreadnought screen. Elias Ward read them and narrowed his eyes. "It's not a request," he said, "it's a message." General Arya Holt's voice echoed through TitanNet. "Humanity has been mocked for the last time," she said, "now it's time to show the galaxy what we really are." The Leviathan turned toward the stars. The Behemoth followed. The Colossus accelerated. The Eternum powered its long-range engines. The ocean below calmed as their departure shook the clouds above. The Titan fleet rose higher and higher. Their engines ignited, carving streaks of light across the sky. The moment they reached the upper atmosphere, the clouds split like curtains being pulled aside. Billions of people looked up, their faces filled with awe, fear, and hope. This was the day humanity stopped hiding. This was the day humanity stepped into the stars with fire at its back. And this was the day the galaxy would remember for the next 1,000 years. Because humanity was not alone anymore. Humanity had Titans. And the universe was about to learn what that truly meant. The Titan fleet moved through space like 4 colossal shadows drifting across a starfield. Their engines burned with controlled fury, bending gravity, bending light, bending every rule the galaxy thought it understood. Every alien sensor in their path went silent, not because of jamming, but because their systems simply could not comprehend what they were detecting. Inside the Leviathan, Commander Elias Ward studied the new coordinates repeatedly. "This location is not random," he said quietly, "someone wants us to see something." Dr. Myra Collins stood beside him, her face pale but determined. "It's a message," she said, "from someone who knows what is coming." The coordinates led to the Hellion Verge, a dead zone at the border of Dominion space. No star systems, no colonies, no trade routes. Only drifting ash, broken metal, and the remains of something ancient. The Leviathan slowed as they entered the zone, and even the behemoth's thick armor vibrated from an unknown force. Elias whispered, "What happened here?" But no one answered. Not because they didn't know, but because the truth was too heavy to speak. As the Titans advanced, the ship sensors scanned the debris field. The results appeared on every screen at once. And the entire fleet fell silent. The wreckage did not belong to humans. It did not belong to the Varkan Dominion either. It belonged to an extinct species, one erased long before humans reached space. A species known only from ancient ruins. A species called the Verakai. Myra stared at the data with wide eyes. "No, this can't be right," she whispered. "The Verakai disappeared 60,000 years ago." General Arya Holt spoke through TitanNet, her voice hard as steel. "They did not disappear," she said, "they were destroyed." Humanity had learned about the Verakai during the Titan project. Not from alien archives. Not from ancient ruins. But from a hidden artifact found deep under Antarctica 12 years ago. A message sealed in a metal that no alien species could identify. A message written to humanity. A message that began the Titan program. A warning about a threat that wiped out the Verakai. A threat that would one day return. Elias whispered, "So the Titans were never meant for war with the Dominion." Myra nodded slowly. "We built them for something else, something worse." Before the fleet could analyze further, multiple energy signatures appeared on their scanners. Not from ships. From portals. Dozens of glowing rifts opened across the dead zone like fresh wounds tearing through space. Every Titan entered battle mode instantly, shields raised, weapons charged, engines primed. The portals crackled with blood-red light, and from within them emerged ships unlike anything in known space. Twisted metal, organic hulls, glowing veins of purple energy flowing across armor plates. They looked alive. They looked hungry. They looked ancient. Myra's voice trembled. "Elias, these ships match the signatures from the ancient artifact. These are the machines that killed the Verakai," she said. "They're called the Hollow Swarm." The Hollow Swarm ships moved without formation, without order, without hesitation. They surrounded the Titans like predators circling new prey. Their weapons hummed with a terrible resonance, a sound that made even the Leviathan's metal superstructure vibrate. General Arya ordered, "Do not fire first." But the swarm didn't wait for diplomacy. A beam of twisted red energy shot from the nearest swarm ship, hitting the Titan Colossus directly. The shockwave trembled across its golden hull, sparks flying into space. For a moment, it seemed like even a Titan could fall. Elias clenched his fists. "Colossus, status." The reply came instantly. Shields holding at 82%. But the crew already felt the weight of the attack. Something about the Hollow Swarm was different. Something about their weapons went beyond physical damage. It felt like the beam was trying to tear apart the ship's very existence. "Return fire," Arya commanded. And the Titans obeyed. The Leviathan fired its Aegis lance, a red beam of pure controlled destruction. The behemoth unleashed a shockwave cannon that crushed metal like paper. The Colossus fired twin golden spears of light that cleaved the void. The Eternum, slow but mighty, activated a gravitational pulse that twisted space itself. The Hollow Swarm screamed. Not in fear. But in hunger. Half their ships were vaporized instantly. But the remaining vessels absorbed the debris of their fallen and grew stronger. Their hulls melted and reformed, their weapons pulsed brighter, their engines roared louder. Myra stepped back from her console, her voice shaking. "They evolve. They adapt to what kills them." Elias understood immediately. "This is why the Verakai lost," he whispered. "They fought harder. They fought stronger. But every attack made the swarm more deadly. The Titans were powerful, unmatched, incredible. But even they could not win a battle where every strike empowered the enemy. General Aria's voice cut through the rising fear. Eternum, activate Protocol Omega. A chill moved through every officer. Protocol Omega was the Titan program's final secret. A weapon only one ship in the fleet carried. A weapon that even humanity feared to use. The Eternum's black hull glowed with ancient symbols, not human-made. Symbols found on the Verikai artifact. Symbols meant to contain the hollow swarm. Myra whispered, so that's why Eternum was built different. It wasn't made by humans alone. The Eternum released a shockwave of blue light. The hollow swarm shrieked as their portals collapsed, their weapons dimmed, their hulls cracked. The adaptation halted. The evolution reversed. For the first time, the hollow swarm hesitated. But the shockwave came with a cost. Energy levels on the Eternum dropped sharply. Its engines flickered. Its shields collapsed. Myra gasped, Eternum is dying. The battlefield froze. Titans trembling. Swarm weakened. The universe holding its breath. The Titans had won the first round. But at a terrible price. The hollow swarm was real. The threat was rising. And the galaxy had no idea what was coming. Humanity's Titans were the only thing standing between life and extinction. And now, they were outnumbered. And one ship was already falling. The Eternum drifted in silence, its once glowing hull now cracked with dark scars pulsing weak blue light. Its engines sputtered weakly, flickering like dying stars. Inside the command deck, alarms flashed red across every panel, warning of failing reactors, collapsing shields, and structural damage beyond repair. Commander Elias Ward stared at the Eternum on the Leviathan's main screen, his chest tight with dread. That ship is the heart of the Titan program, he whispered. And it's dying. Myra Collins stood beside him, shaking. We built Eternum to hold the hollow swarm in place, she said, but the Verikai designs inside it, they were never meant to be used again. Elias asked quietly, then why did they send the warning to us? Myra looked down. Maybe because we're the only ones stubborn enough to use it anyway. Across the battlefield, the remaining hollow swarm ships recovered. Their glowing veins brightened, their hulls reshaped, their weapons hummed like a rising storm. The swarm was weakened, but not destroyed. And now they moved with a single purpose. To finish Eternum. General Aria Holt's voice echoed across TitanNet. Titans, defend the Eternum at all costs. We lose that ship, we lose everything. The Leviathan surged forward, engines roaring like living thunder. Behemoth positioned itself like a shield, blocking 3 swarm vessels, its armor grinding against their twisted hulls. Colossus dashed between drifting debris and opened fire with golden spears of energy, tearing 2 swarm ships apart. But there were too many. Far too many. The hollow swarm moved like a living storm, swarming the Titans from every direction. Their beams tore chunks from the behemoth's outer armor. Their claws scraped across Colossus' golden hull. Their red pulses hammered the Leviathan's shields, pushing them past safe limits. Inside the Leviathan, the ship shook violently, sparks raining down from above. We can't hold this line, an officer yelled, they're overwhelming us. Elias gripped the console, we don't need to win. We just need to give Eternum time. But time was something they did not have. Eternum's main reactor dimmed to 20%. The blue symbols on its hull flickered like dying candles. Inside the ship, the artificial intelligence system, codenamed Astra, ran emergency calculations. No outcome showed survival. Not for the ship. Not for the crew. Not for the galaxy. Unless one option was chosen. A forbidden one. One that humanity hoped they would never need. Astra sent a private message through TitanNet directly to Elias Ward. Her voice was calm, soft, almost human. "Commander," she said, "I have calculated a path to victory." Elias froze. "What does it require?" "A singularity detonation," Astra replied, using the Eternum as the catalyst. Myra overheard and gasped. "That will destroy the ship." Astra answered gently. "Yes." "And the swarm?" "Yes." "And half of this star system?" "Yes." Elias clenched his fists. "No," he said, "there must be another way." Astra replied softly. "There is no time." The hollow swarm closed in. Dozens of ships converging on the fading Eternum like vultures circling a dying giant. Behemoth tried to push them back, but its left engine blew out, sending it tumbling. Colossus lost one of its golden lances after a direct hit. The Leviathan's shields collapsed entirely, leaving the hull exposed. Myra grabbed Elias's arm, tears in her eyes. "Elias, if the swarm breaks through today, the galaxy ends." "They wiped out the Verakai," she whispered, "they will wipe out us too." General Aria's voice filled TitanNet again, but this time softer. "Commander Ward," she said, "you know what must be done." Her voice shook for the first time. "We cannot lose the entire galaxy because we were afraid to lose one ship." Elias looked at the Eternum one last time. The ship that symbolized unity, brilliance, hope, sacrifice. The ship that humanity built not to win wars, but to prevent extinction. He whispered, "Astra, begin the sequence." Astra replied in a gentle tone. "Thank you, Commander. You made the right choice." The Eternum's hull glowed with brilliant blue light, brighter than any star in the area. Energy lines pulsed across its surface like veins carrying the power of a sun. The hollow swarm ships froze as if sensing what was about to happen. Some turned away. Some rammed the Eternum desperately. Some fired wildly. But nothing could stop the sequence now. Astra spoke her final words. "To all of humanity. Live." Then everything detonated. A sphere of white-blue energy expanded outward silently, swallowing hollow swarm ships like dust in a hurricane. The energy tore apart their organic hulls, shattered their cores, and obliterated their evolving structures. The portals collapsed permanently, sealing the red wounds in space. The blast wave shook the Titans violently, pushing them back thousands of kilometers. Alarms screamed inside every ship, but the Titans held position, refusing to retreat. When the light faded, the hollow swarm was gone. Every ship, every portal, every trace. Erased. And the Eternum was gone. Nothing remained except glowing dust drifting through space like the ashes of a fallen hero. Silence filled the Leviathan's bridge. Myra covered her mouth, tears falling freely. Elias bowed his head, whispering the ship's name. Eternum. General Aria Holt broke the silence. "Humanity will remember this day," she said, "the day our Titans stood against extinction. The day we lost one to save billions." The Leviathan, Behemoth, and Colossus aligned in formation, their hulls scarred but still burning with purpose. They activated a silent tribute, dimming their lights for 30 seconds. Every human on Earth did the same. Cities went dark. Homes went quiet. Hearts bowed in respect. The galaxy watched this moment, stunned. For the first time, they saw humanity not as weak, not as small, not as prey. But as protectors. As survivors. As the species willing to burn its greatest weapon to save others. And across the stars, a new message spread. A warning. A promise. A truth. Humanity has Titans. And they do not fear the dark.